So what should we start tonight then, fellas? I mean, the two games, I guess, or, you know, there's a lot going on.
Talking point, isn't there?
One topic, isn't there? Which basically, suddenly, early Sunday afternoon, the whole attention of the North East switched to one thing. We were sitting in this studio on Friday. You wouldn't know because you weren't here, joking about it. Razor was quite strong in the fact. He said, yeah, it's going to be a derby.
I was on a golf simulator.
Oh, a simulator?
Right at the top of my backswing.
A golf simulator? You were simulating playing golf?
And a guy went, it's Sunderland versus Newcastle. I went, nah. Oh, yeah,
I bet you sliced that shot.
I didn't believe him.
Yeah.
Didn't believe him.
But hang on, a golf simulator?
What are you doing on one of them?
Well, golf courses were shut, weren't they?
Yeah, I guess. You're just honing your game.
There was 5 of us went, and it was good crack.
Yeah.
We played
in the clubhouse, or is it?
It's a big building beside the clubhouse, and they've got a golf simulator, and we played...
Which course?
Where they played the Open in Ireland.
Royal Ports Rush.
Yeah. Tough.
I bet.
Yeah.
What'd you go round in?
A lot.
Not performance of the weekend then?
No.
Okay. Anyway, yes. So on
Did
Friday,
you have a Guinness while you were going round?
Oh, you
no,
can do that now.
You could do, yeah, but you know what it is. I never had a drink all day yesterday because I was shocked by the draw.
Oh, right, okay. You thought you needed a clear mind to think about it, to mull it over, yeah. We were talking about how great it would be if they were drawn together. And wouldn't you know it, Jen Beattie and Trevor Stephen, they only went and did the business.
Number 38.
Number 38 is Sunderland, winners in 1937 and 73.
Everyone's going, can it be? Could it
Sunderland
be?
fans can expect Newcastle United. Wow, what a tie that is. That is the tastiest tie of the lot. Well done, guys. What a draw.
Oh, dear me.
Should just stop there.
I know, we should all go.
There we go. A Berwick boy, Trevor Stephen, pulling out that second number there. We've had to wait a while. 2016, the last time the two sides met. Maybe this will get you in the mood for what's to come.
Here's Defoe. Get in! What a goal! Jermaine Defoe!
Mignolet, who spilled the initial cross a few moments ago, just about a yard off his line. He's inviting something. Ryan Taylor bends it, it's in! Ryan Taylor has bent it into the back of the net, and Ryan Taylor, dead-eye Dick from the free kick.
Yeah, a couple of famous winning goals at the Stadium of Light from derbies of yesteryear. I'm sure there'll be lots more of that in the build-up to the game early in January. We're still waiting to see which day it's going to be played on. You think they might move it for telly, mightn't they?
You would think it's got a chance, yeah.
It's always a good fixture that sort of FA Cup weekend, first weekend of the new year.
You would imagine it won't be a late kick-off either.
Well, sometimes, yeah.
I think the police will have something to say.
They might do, but yeah, I've heard talk that they are looking at that because there could be Friday night, Monday night. I mean, Monday night might be a bit different because it's a kind of...
You think?
It's a working day. Yeah, but...
Doesn't make any difference.
No, it doesn't. Well, it makes a little bit of difference.
No.
I think, a little bit of difference. So we'll see what happens there. The teams have met each other 7 times in the FA Cup. But the last time was when?
God, that must be a long time ago.
1956.
Yeah.
Sunderland won 2-0.
2-0, yes. Were you playing that?
I was there.
56.
And Newcastle's last win, were you playing in that? That was in the 6th round in the FA Cup. Newcastle's last win over Sunderland was in 1909.
Really?
That was 3-0 after a 2-2 draw in the original game. So that was a replay. So the last knockout match that they played, because they haven't drawn each other in the Cups. I mean, it was the playoffs, but that wasn't even, they weren't even drawn together in the playoffs because they basically qualified in those positions, didn't they? They played in the playoffs in the games that you both played in back in 1990s. That was the last kind of knockout fixture between the clubs. And prior to that, they met in the League Cup, didn't they? 1979. And yes, Sunderland won the second leg on penalties at 7-6. 2-2 in both games it finished. So yes, those are the sort of
they haven't actually met that many times, really, have they?
It's amazing.
In the Cups,
that probably tells you how good both teams' cup form has been over the years. We don't get too deep.
This will be the first time that the two clubs have met in a fixture when they have been in different divisions. Because prior to this, yes, when they've met in the Cups, they've always been in the same division. When you think about it, especially going back as far as kind of the 50s and early, they were both in the top division pretty much all the time.
And it could have an effect, because I suppose if Newcastle did qualify for Europe, John, I mean, I was going to say he could play some of his second string, but actually they're all playing in the first team anyway at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, hopefully by the time that Cup game comes around, he'll have a lot of the walking wounded back.
Yeah, possibly.
So.
But the games that Newcastle have either side of that fixture,
that could
pretty big ones, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, it could have a
Liverpool
and Manchester City. Liverpool away and Manchester City at home. Yeah. So we'll see. But look, it's a huge game. It's not one that you want to lose.
Let's put a bit more context into this. Sunderland unbeaten in the last 9. Then they had a 6 in a row winning streak in the middle of that, didn't they? The last one was a draw, of course. And so their last meeting was in the Premier League in March in 2016. And Alexander Mitrovic prevented 7 in a row by equalising in the 83rd minute. Jermaine Defoe had scored for Sunderland. And in the October of 2015, Sunderland had won at home 3-0. That was the last game between the two sides at the Stadium of Light. So that kind of sets the scene. Neither team's done particularly well recently in the FA Cup, have they? I mean, Newcastle, they lost at Sheffield Wednesday last season, didn't they?
Lost at home to Cambridge.
Yeah, that was Kieran Trippier's debut, wasn't it? They have only got through the third round at the first attempt once in the last 10 years. They got to the 6th round in 2020. Sunderland haven't done much better, Marco, have they? Second appearance in the third round since January 2018. They've had a few pretty dismal defeats in the first and second round.
Home games as well, haven't they?
Yes.
Beaten at home, I think I think sometimes it's been sort of brushed over because it's we can concentrate on the league.
Well, it's always the same, isn't it? When you get
fighting to get out of the third tier in some of them cases. So. Yeah, but I think it's gonna. It is a very, very different dynamic. This will be, because both teams, like you say, like John says, they're going to have to represent the club properly, the supporters properly.
Yes. Oh yes.
There's going to be full commitment to it. But as you said, there's both teams could have different agendas by then. Sunderland have. Well, we're having a little bit of a dip, and we're struggling a little bit with certain issues in the club. Excuse me, in the team especially. So see where we are in 4 weeks' time.
Things might look a bit different in 4 weeks. Yes, those defeats by Mansfield in recent years have rather disappointed Sunderland supporters. Last season, of course, they did okay and played against Fulham and could have got through, but they got knocked out in round 4. It's all very exciting. Do send messages with your thoughts about the draw. I can see that lots of people are already. We would love it as well if you gave us a call to have a chat. 0800 234 6565. That's the phone number. WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Text 81333, starting your message with the letters BBC. Plenty more derby crack to come both tonight and kind of over the next 30 odd days on this programme, on this radio station as well. Michael Bridges, who played for both clubs, more for Sunderland than Newcastle admittedly, he's going to pop in after 7 to have a chat about it as well. But for now, let's do what we normally do at the start of a Monday evening show and just look back on the weekend's games, shall we? And we'll start with Newcastle's game against Manchester United. You've got to go back to the end of August actually to find Newcastle's last home defeat in the league. Remember when Liverpool came and won 2-1, and Saturday night's win over Man United made it 6 home Premier League wins on the trot for the Magpies.
Gordon wins it and gets away from Wan-Bissaka, and still going Gordon. Isak in the centre. Oh, it's a brilliant run. Can't find Isak with the pass, which is deflected. Oh, Dalot! What on earth is Dalot doing? He's cleared it, but he pushed it past his own goalkeeper and just in the nick of time stopped it going in. Angled ball for the run of Joelinton. Cut back. Almiron! Good save. Onana. Miguel Almiron at the back post. It's come for Isak and he's going to score. Wide. Isak's put it wide, off a touch from somebody in a Manchester United shirt. Onana in the centre of his goal. Trippier goes for it, hits the underside of the bar, and Onana catches. Onana, Bruno, Trippier rolls it across. Anthony Gordon! Anthony Gordon is there to score and give Newcastle United the lead they deserve. Finally, the goal has come in the 55th minute. Gordon with a tap in at the back stick after a good move down the right-hand side. His 6th of the season, and he has scored in each of Newcastle's last 4 home Premier League games. They have now got their noses in front. It's Newcastle United 1, Manchester United 0. For Matt Ritchie, I think, as the ball comes into the box. Anthony! Oh no, it's in! It's in! Newcastle run to the assistant referee, and now it's offside. Now it's offside. Oh, it took a big touch on the way through. They thought they'd equalised. When the ball came over from the left, the shot from Anthony ended up in the net, but the offside flag is up.
Ray's voice just about made it to the end there, didn't it? Yes.
Started to go.
It did. And it was a great performance and a deserved victory again, Andu.
It was a 1-0 demolition, really.
Yeah.
People who didn't see it will look at the scoreline and think, oh, must have been a close game.
Wasn't.
But there was nothing close about it at all. We had chance after chance. Didn't take them. We did all the things Manchester United didn't do. Did all the basics, ran, chased, tackled, chased fullbacks, got at fullbacks, passed the ball, won tackles, and as I say, it was a 1-0 demolition. It could have been so much more. Second half, Manchester United could hardly get out of their own half. Mm-hmm. We just bullied them, dominated. We were strong, quick, and anybody who watched Anthony Gordon and Marcus Rashford,
yes,
would be asking,
I heard you
how
mention this.
does Rashford get in that England squad ahead of him?
And you said that, yeah.
It was, again, Gordon did everything that Rashford didn't. He kept letting Livramento break, didn't track him, didn't look to run around. Gordon got forward, got at Bissaka, caused them all sorts of problems. But when Manchester United tried to get forward, he got back and helped his fullbacks out.
Yeah.
He did all the things, and you look at it and you go, really, really strange. He was great again on the day. There was just so many really good performances. Livramento, it sounds like a broken record, but every time you see him, the boy just gets better and better.
Oh yeah. Going to come to him in a minute, actually, because
he's got everything. He's quick.
Eddie Howe mentioned him afterwards.
Gets forward well, uses it.
And he was on his wrong side, really. I mean, he can play both
you wouldn't
sides.
think it.
You wouldn't know.
No, he looks as comfortable playing at left back than he does at right back.
Which makes him a manager's dream, basically, if you're that good and you can do it on both sides.
And you could probably play him further forward as well.
Yeah.
Trippier, 2 centre-backs were excellent again. Cher was... When holes opened up, he just quite happy to walk into them with the ball. Never got closed down. Isak's movement was brilliant. Trippier's free kick was incredible. How that didn't go in. I mean, keepers just ruled it.
We had someone on Friday that predicted he'd score a hat-trick of free kicks.
Well, he only had... Well, thinking back, I think he only had the one, but it was... Couldn't believe it. It just hit the underside of the crossbar. Young Miley again. I thought young Miley first half was really good. Thought he was excellent. Didn't seem as much second half, but only to be expected. It's been a big couple of weeks for the boy. Making his senior debut as a starter against Chelsea, Champions League, then against Paris Saint-Germain, and then up against Manchester United. And as I say, for 45 minutes he was top draw.
I don't want to put a downer on things, but the win did come at a cost. Yeah. Nick Pope has a bad injury.
It looks like a shoulder dislocation, which would be a huge blow for us. It looks like that might need specialist treatment, so that is absolutely the big negative. He's been a giant performer for us this season, but Martin, I thought, in a really difficult situation, came on and showed his experience and saw the game out really well for us.
Yeah, so Eddie Howe obviously disappointed about the injury to Nick Pope, but as he said, it is a big chance now for Martin Dubravka.
Absolutely, and I think the good positive signs from Martin are that in his last full start, I thought he was outstanding against Manchester United away in the Carabao Cup, where he was composed and he's performed really well for his country, as well as they recently qualified for the Euros. So I think he's in a really good place. I think he's very positive, and as I say, did really well and showed his experience today, because that wasn't an easy 15 minutes for any goalkeeper to come in, especially in the cold conditions, but he did very well.
Yeah, so weighing up the abilities of those two keepers, it will be Dubravka that comes in. How big a blow is it to lose Pope, Ando?
It is a blow, yeah. I think he showed against Paris Saint-Germain what a good goalkeeper he is, what a good shot stopper he is. It was a freak. It was a freak injury as well, because he's gone for a ball. It's struck from the edge of the penalty area. Cher gets a great block on it. It doesn't even get to the goalkeeper, but he's seen the shot coming. He's taken off. He's obviously landed awkwardly on that shoulder. But yeah, it is a blow. There's no doubt about that. But fortunately, we've got good backup. You know, you've got Dubravka, you've got Karius there as well. So you've got your keeper and your keeper on the bench still. So I mean, in a way, it's a position that they are well covered for. Yeah, but it's not a position where you think, oh well, a goalkeeper's going to get injured. It doesn't happen so often, and you know, it looks like he could miss quite a chunk of the rest of the season by the sounds of it. But it is a blow. There's no doubt about it. Do you think they'll go and look for another keeper in January then? Might do. It all depends on how well Dubravka does between now and he's got plenty of games to. They might look for another keeper, but it might depend on how he does as to whether it's someone they want to bring straight into the first team or somebody for a bit more backup. It's up to him now. You know, he's got the short because of the injury to Nick Pope. He will come in as number one. It's up to him to show the coaching staff. He's never really played in a he's played in Newcastle teams before where he's had a lot to do, and it's been a very different kind of style of football, etc. So it remains to be seen how he does with a run in the side in this team. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you look at Nick Pope at the weekend, he had absolutely nothing to do. As I say, it was an absolute freak injury. And the way that things are going at the moment with goalkeepers, especially in the league, it's all about keeping that concentration level. Yes. You know, you may not have anything to do and then you're called upon to make a save. But I don't think Dubravka's ever let us down. I think he's always done okay. Do I think he's as good as Pope? No, I don't. But, you know, he's still a very, very good keeper. Yes. It was once again partially because of the injuries, an unchanged starting 11. The players that we have fit and available have really stood up and grown really. I think with the 3 games, I think we've grown as a team. Some of the relationships in the team are starting to form, and I thought our left side was really strong today with Tino and Anthony, and our right side with Louis, Miggy and Kieran was outstanding as well. So impressed by some of the combinations, and like you, Ando, Eddie Howe was again impressed by Tino Livramento. I think today he showed his technical quality, he showed his athleticism, he showed his ability to attack, and although it's maybe not his favoured side, you wouldn't have known that from today. I thought he and Anthony, as I said, really did link well and gave good balance to the team, so I was delighted with how we looked. Individuals performing well and as combinations too. It's amazing really when you think of the 3 games that they've had. You know, the energy levels have been unbelievable, and how you keep them up in 3 real intense games against Chelsea, PSG, where you had to really dig in, had to defend, had to keep your concentration, had to fill holes, and then against Manchester United you come back from Paris and then you've got them, and their energy levels is just immense. You know, they didn't look like a side that were starting to run on empty either. You know, it's basically he's down to the bare bones. It was always going to be the same starting 11 that we've seen in Paris, and they were excellent. They just ran Manchester United ragged.
They are keeping up the pursuit of the top teams at the top of the Premier League. Everton on Thursday, then Spurs at the weekend. So it remains relentless.
It doesn't get any easier. Plenty of games between now and Christmas. You know, there's no let up at all, as you say. It's 3 games a week all the way between now and Christmas. But we knew that was going to be the case. You know, you're playing in these competitions. We've still got a League Cup game to go to at Chelsea. We've got AC Milan to come here in the Champions League. You know, so still plenty of games. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he may get 1 or 2 back in the not too distant future, which would be a bonus, because the way that they're going at this moment in time with what they've got and the level at which they're playing at is just first class.
I did mention that they might think about signing a keeper. I mentioned De Gea, who's been mentioned by quite a lot of people. Just mentioned the reaction on messages here on WhatsApps and texts is not favourable.
Look, at the one thing I would say is that every player that Eddie Howe and the people above him have brought into this football club so far haven't let anybody down. So if he decides that he wants to bring people in, on no way in the world you're going to criticise it, because up to now he hasn't made any mistakes.
Been pretty good.
Look, you're always going to get one wrong, of course, yeah. But if he thinks De Gea is right, do I see it?
I don't.
No, I don't see it either. But we'll see.
It's again every time there's a goalkeeping vacancy.
It's an easy story to write again, though, Simon, because he's got no
vacancy. Everyone talks about De Gea.
Yeah, he's
one of the big clubs.
Yeah, he's got no club. He's not doing anything. You know, so a keeper gets injured. It's an easy story to write.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Steve is in Leam Lane, Newcastle fan. Evening, Steve.
Evening, Art. How are you all doing?
Yeah, good, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Were you watching the draw yesterday, Steve?
I got a text about it later on. I thought I was getting wound up, so I had to get on go online and look how.
Yeah.
Oh, the joy. I've got a little funny related stuff, but I thought it was funny. I know it's petty and I know it's childish, but it made me giggle at the time. If you'd like to let us tell it.
Yeah, petty and childish isn't out of place on this show, so go for your life.
A few years ago, the year that Sunderland got relegated to the First Division, a mate of mine got cataracts in both his eyes, had to go to the eye hospital in Sunderland. So he needed a chaperone. I got on the metro with him from Heworth, 4 times on the metro to Heworth, from Heworth to the Stadium of Light. The only station on all those stations to do this was the Stadium of Light. Every station was the name of the station, automated voice, channel announcement, but the only station to go mind the gap was the Stadium of Light.
Was it?
I know it's petty, I know it's childish, but it just made me giggle. 4 times. So I don't know if there's any other station on any other part of the system that has that, but between Heworth and the Stadium of Light, it's the only one. But anyway, back to proper football and not Mickey take. Our game on Saturday, John, phenomenal first half, but at half time, I got a little bit worried because we're all old enough to remember loads of games where you've been top all the way through the game and you just haven't taken your chances and you come a cropper. Half time I got, but then they weren't up to anything, but how many times happened?
Yeah, look, I have to admit I understand what you mean, but I didn't get that way at the weekend. I just thought Manchester United showed absolutely nothing. I mean, they had a centre forward who he got taken off. He could have just hung his shirt up because there was no sweat on it, because he didn't do any running around whatsoever, Martial. He was no outlet for them. He didn't harry centre-backs. He didn't work the channels. He did absolutely nothing. Garnacho and Rashford were exactly the same in those wide areas. So,
Rashford, remember that? I can't remember the exact part of the game, but Rashford tried to tackle someone, bloke got away from him. He didn't try to chase him back. He was only 2 yards away. But then, just a matter of seconds later, The same happened to Anthony Gordon. And he followed that bloke on, chased him down and ended up getting the ball back off him. There was no appetite off them, and there was much.
Yeah, that was a point that I made earlier on. You know, it was like chalk and cheese. You know, the fundamentals of football are quite simple. You know, I think people will put up with anybody having bad games, and everybody has bad games. You're not going to go through a career not having poor games, but it doesn't take anything to run around and chase and tackle and harry.
And it's unforgivable not to.
And it's unforgivable if you don't. And there you had an England international who looked like he had no interest whatsoever in playing football. He looked like, mind you, all that front three that I've just mentioned, Garnacho, Rashford, and the other boy, just looked like they would rather be anywhere else on Saturday evening than playing football.
Yeah, which isn't great. Okay,
all you ask is for people to run around, and they just didn't even do that.
He's either unbelievably hot, Rashford, or you might as well not play him, isn't he? He's done this before, hasn't he? Where he had a year or so where he just wasn't interested.
Yeah, came back to life out of the World Cup, didn't he?
And it's like he's gone off the boil again. And like you say, John, you can still be part of the team and improve yourself by doing the basics, really. But I mean, it seems strange. Ten Hag comes across as this authoritarian person, but he doesn't seem to be able to get them to do just the simplest things, does he? I
was amazed he left Martial on as long as he did. I would have had him off after 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I would. No, I would.
I think
get off.
I think probably quite a lot of Man United fans would agree with that assessment, not just on Saturday night's performance, but
if that's
over
all you're prepared to do, get off.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Steve, for coming on this evening.
Cheers, Steve. All the best.
As Manchester United have their problems, but that's not Newcastle's worry. It was 3 points for them. Beat them, of course, in the League Cup earlier in the season as well. This is Total Sport on BBC Radio Newcastle.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Marco Gabbiadini and John Anderson with me. Davey, the Sunderland fan, makes me laugh, says this one. It's from Michael, the Morpeth Magpie. Trippier wouldn't be worried about Clark at all. Only about which pocket to put him in, says Michael, responding to Davey, saying he's excited about the derby ahead as well. Let me do a few more because loads of people messaging about the draw. Chestnut Street Geordies, with regards to the FA Cup draw, for Sunderland fans, it's a cup final. For Newcastle fans, just another cup game in a very exciting season. And this one is from Paul, who's in Seam. He says, I can't wait for this derby. It's real David versus Goliath. 350 million versus about 7 million, but you just never know how the River Weir Wizards even. Thank you, Paul. But Wearside Jim isn't as excited about it. He says, Pridey, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but as a Sunderland fan, I think we need this game like a skydiver needs a hole in his chute. Other than being a country mile away in the leagues, let alone positions, we're just not a big game team. Look at Luton, Borough, Stoke. This really is David versus Goliath. Unfortunately for Sunderland fans, our David doesn't turn up with his red and white slingshot. Gentle reminder to our deluded cousins on the Tyne, whenever the teams have parity with regards finance, playing staff, etc., they've never got anywhere near us. I'm expecting a defeat, but let's remind ourselves, one swallow doesn't make a summer. 6 in a row, neatly bookended with 2 or 3 draws, will last in the record books for decades to come, says Jim, who's not looking forward to it, but he's putting it into a bit of context.
Yeah, that'll probably last for a while because it doesn't look like there's going to be too many derbies anytime soon. You take this one out of the equation. And look, I enjoy watching Sunderland. I have to say, the times I've seen them on telly and one thing and another, the way they want to play and everything about them. The one thing I would say is, every time I've watched them, they always look too lightweight, and they want to play out from the back. They can't change it because they've got nothing to hit the goal long, and if they want to play out from the back against us, they'll get smothered.
What did you make of those messages I read out, Marco?
Well, it's a mixture, isn't it? I think it's the clubs are in a very different, situations, aren't they? You know, that one on the cusp of believing that they can, make it to the very top, but it takes time. I think many Newcastle supporters do appreciate it's not going to happen overnight now, but their team is very much improved and very much, as John says, very dynamic and very powerful. And I think they're the things that really worry me. I agree. They worry me, especially set pieces and things like that. But I just think all over the field, we lack that bit of we're not really very scrappy. We don't get into too many tussles. I don't think anyone backs out of stuff, but Newcastle are a powerful team, and I think that's going to be the biggest issue. But look, if it's a good game of football, which I think Sunderland will play the football same style, and they're good at it. And if you do play out through a press, you do find space, and you can go back to front quickly.
I love the fact that the pre-match banter has already begun 30 plus days before the game. You can tell how we've missed them. Gary in Wickham says Jack Clarke won't be worrying Kieran Trippier at all because he'll have been sold by then, which I guess is a possibility at the beginning of the transfer window. But anyway, let's have a chat now to Michael Bridges. He played for both Sunderland and Newcastle, more for Sunderland than Newcastle, has to be said, and he joins us now fresh from his regular Monday night stint in the Look North studio. Hello, Michael.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Good to have you on. You've heard there that the banter's already begun, and it will do on this show all the way up until the game.
I've been getting up family members. Having played for both clubs, I know what it means to the region. I know what it means to the fans and the players as well. And I think it's great to have it back, to see it, to get the derby going again. And like you said, I think the last time they played, they were, since there's a lot changed since then.
Yes.
And this is the FA Cup. Anything can happen. I think if you played Newcastle now against Sunderland every week for 10 games, you'd find Newcastle would dominate and get the wins. But a one-off game in the FA Cup, nothing to lose. It's going to be absolutely fascinating.
How much difference does it make then that they are in different divisions? Because this is their first derby, or it will be the first derby when they've been in different divisions. Even the previous cup meetings between the sides, they've always been in the same division. So there's never been more than kind of, I guess 15 or 16 league places between the sides when they've met. Obviously, that gap is bigger now. That's already been pointed out by a Newcastle fan at the beginning of this programme, and so in a way that puts much more pressure on Newcastle. They'll be expected to win and to win well, but is there a big significance in that?
Oh, there is, without a shadow of a doubt. You talk about the quality and the personnel of each club, and the money that has been spent on bringing players in at Newcastle United as opposed to Sunderland's transfer window. They're trying to hang on to their best players. Patterson, you've mentioned one lad there, Clarke as well. Jack Clarke, he's just going from strength to strength week in, week out. He will give Trippier a run for his money, by the way. He's been in the Premier League before. He knows what it's all about. He's getting better. Trippier... That'll be an interesting battle in the park. And
we'll just swap it over. We'll put Livramento over there. He won't run him.
Oh, look, he's starting. It's going to be interesting on both sides because Paddy Roberts' a big fan of as well. He knows what he's doing. But again, you're talking about a Champions League team against a Championship team. That it's a huge difference. But looking at the history, I was laughing, Simon. It was 53 wins for each team. And Sunderland got the upper hand. 6 wins, 3 draws, but a lot has changed since then.
Yeah, look, I got back to the point that I just made. As I say, I've enjoyed watching Sunderland. I like the way that they play. I love listening to Tony Mowbray. I think he speaks really, really well. But it's I just think from a physical aspect, I watched us against Manchester United at the weekend. And we were just so powerful. Yeah. Ran through them, ran over them, and you've got to match that physicality. If you don't stand up to that physicality, as Manchester United didn't, they'll cause you a major problem.
Tony Mowbray wants to play out. I enjoy watching Sunderland, the way they play out, the way they can break through the lines, and when they get it right, it's absolutely spot on. The problem that Sunderland have had is the striker not being able to score goals.
They can't change it on Michael, can they?
Well, that's the thing. The amount of chances that are being created and not getting the goals on the end of it. But the actual all-round build-up play is tremendous. Now, Eddie Howe in Newcastle, he gets his press absolutely spot on. We saw it against Tottenham last season, Aston Villa in the first game this season, and against Manchester United. The high intensity runs from this team are on a different level. So if Tony Mowbray and Sunderland decide they're going to play out, and Eddie Howe will be relishing the opportunity to do that. Sunderland have got to go another way. They've got to play longer balls and try and win the seconds. And as Mark was just alluded to win the scrappy seconds, Sunderland that's not their game. So,
do you think, Marco, that they could adapt because of the way that they know Newcastle will play and will press them?
Not really. I think that is the issue. Is that I mean, look, it's one of the issues we've had this season more than anything is that most teams now are retreating against us. They're not even engaging in our half. They're just saying, okay, you can have it. We're going to get 10 men across the 18-yard box. If you can break us down from there, you can have a go. And in the last few matches, we found it difficult. And I think that is one of our issues now. The difference that it might be against Newcastle, it might be a more open game. Newcastle might come and say, okay, play if you want to play through us, fair enough. And if we do play through them, you've got an opportunity. But I can't see us knocking it long on purpose. Obviously if it gets rolls back to Patterson, it has to go big sometimes. But we don't really, one of our other issues, I think, in a negative way, is that, okay, to play the way we end up with Roberts, as we did at Plymouth. Roberts and Clark spread wide, both touching the touchline. To do that in modern football is quite rare because it leaves you wide open. Most teams shuffle across the field, or you're trying, if you are going to play long to somebody, you try and get a couple of people around the person that you're aiming at. But we don't do that. We're wide open. And that can cause its own problems, as we've seen recently.
I think the problems that Roberts and Clark will have, yes, they're great going forward ways, but our two fullbacks just bomb. They just go, and they're going to say to them, are you going to track us, or are you just going to let it? And if you just let us keep going,
and they do put the work in as well.
They're not lazy. I mean, I think they would get. Roberts isn't powerful. So if you were shoulder to shoulder with him, you would win, and because you'd just get across him, John. But they don't shirk it. I don't think there's a case of that.
Yeah, well, let's read a few more messages out as well. Gregsy and Spennymoor, I'm praying that Newcastle's full squad is fit for the derby. I'm sick to death of their entitled whinging whenever they lose. Bring it on, says Gregsy. I can't wait. Jack says, I'm not fussed about the derby. It's a distraction. And our lineup will depend on what happens in the League Cup, says Jack, who's a Newcastle fan. David West Auckland is a Sunderland fan. We won't beat the Mags. We give championship sides a goal start, and our strikers can't score. Patterson will be busy, that's for certain, says Dave. This one says, I can't wait to play the Mackhams, lambs to the slaughter. And one more for now. John in Newcastle, looking forward to the derby match in January, but I'm expecting Sunderland to give us a much harder game than Manchester United did on Saturday. Having said that, I don't think that we will be playing our reserves, says John. So there you go, Michael. You're going to be doing the show, aren't you, in between Christmas and New Year a couple of nights. It's going to have been properly ramped up by then. That's a bit of a flavour of what you could expect.
I was about to say, this is just a little bit of a taster. Yes. All the banter started. My phone was going off the hook with family and friends, positive things for Sunderland, positive things for Newcastle, and then the banter just saying, what do you think? Exactly, that was the one. Can you get us any tickets for this game? Blah, blah.
Haven't heard from you for 40 years. I just thought I'd give you a bell.
John, that was a good thing. Living in Australia for 13 years, you do lose a lot of contacts, so that was good.
It's going to be pretty crazy through this month, and lots of Christmas dinner debates as well. I would have thought about the game. We will continue talking about it because I'm sure people will continue getting in touch. Quick word, Michael, about the season so far for both clubs. Sunderland wise, a lot of talk about whether they will keep with Tony Mowbray. There were lots of rumours around at the weekend as well about his future. He is still there now, and actually, they're doing pretty well in comparison to last season. They're actually better off in terms of points, I think, at this stage and league position. And they only got promoted the season before that. So what have you made of them?
I think this season 3 points off the playoffs, and like you say, I think the football that they've been playing, especially since Mowbray's come in, I've really enjoyed it. And the player you mentioned there, Mark was talking about him, Jack Clark, He was fantastic going forward. I think what Mowbray's given him is a new lease of life defending, showing him how to understand the game. So Sunderland this season, they could have been a lot higher had they taken all their chances, but the possession stats are up there, the chances created are up there. So they've got to find a way that they can turn them into goals. And also, the January window, they've got to find out how they can keep hold of the players, because there's big talk about Patterson, there's big talk about Clark, and I think that once the January window closes and Mowbray knows what he's actually got at his disposal, then we might see them kick on if he still is the manager by then.
I think Eddie Howe probably still will be the Newcastle head coach at that point. Won't he? What have you made of them this season? Kind of carrying on really where they left off and doing it so on a European front as well.
Yeah, and doing it so well. I think the European games, I was worried whether the injuries, having played at Leeds United when we were not in the European market, and then getting into Europa League, getting into the Champions League. You need bodies, you need them, because the games come thick and fast. You are travelling a hell of a lot, and I think that's one thing that Eddie Howe has had to juggle. The suspension, the injury list is absolutely frightening, and the way that he's done that, it's there's players come in. Miley has been outstanding. The opportunity that he has got, and you think Longstaff. How well he was doing when he wasn't starting the season. So Eddie Howe, I would say the test of his managerial skills have gone above and beyond this season, because the way he's had to give other players opportunities and keep the momentum going in the Premier League this season. So yeah, ticks for both teams, I would say, in the North East, and Middlesbrough under Michael Carrick as well. I've got to give them a shout out, because they've been doing brilliant since they've had the turnaround.
Okay, well, we don't cover them. We see BBC Tees do that job, but you can if you like. But looking forward to having you on the show. 27th and 28th of December, I think it is, that you're going to be on. So looking forward to that, and thanks for coming in this evening.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Mike.
Michael Bridges there, former Sunderland and Newcastle United striker, just joining in on the derby debate following yesterday's FA Cup third round draw. We want to hear from you as well, of course. 0800 234 6565 is the number. Daryl's on the line, Newcastle fan. Hello Daryl, how are you doing?
Bonjour.
Bonjour, Daryl.
We're not in France now, Daryl.
That was last week,
gone.
Daryl.
It's done.
That was last week, but I couldn't get on. So you're having to deal with it.
Okay.
Well, I'll start briefly by going over what happened in Paris, actually, because it's the first time I've had a chance to speak to you since. And, I don't even need to cover the decision at the end, because it's been done to death. But I agree with everything that was said about it being a disgrace. The experience itself was really good. I went over on the Monday and came back on the Wednesday. I had the full day on Tuesday to do a bit of fast-track sightseeing, I suppose, is the best way to describe it, because I got pretty much everything done on the morning and then gave myself the afternoon and the evening to get ready for the game. But again, no issues. Getting around Paris was fine. Whole atmosphere was great. Away end was fantastic. Really pleased to take a bucket list item off the list by being in a European away end. And again, I thought the lads put in a great shift. They have done the last few weeks now, with a limited number of bodies available to them. And Eddie Howe, and that was followed up on Saturday with a fantastic display, dominant. We really put Man United under pressure, and Man United have proven to be a shadow of the team that we all think they are or were. They're just really, they sort of remind me of us in flux in a way, because they're having issues at the top and they're filtering down onto the pitch now, and they're being, they're really suffering. Not that I'm trying to live in the glory of that, because I am. Let's be honest, it's nice to see them struggling, to be fair. And obviously we're now heading in the opposite direction, and we're starting to improve tenfold, and we have been for a long time now. And again, I thought that the lads were fantastic on Saturday, fully deserved the 3 points, should have been more in terms of goals. We absolutely played them off the park, and there's a lot of issues at Man United, but we were just so much better on Saturday, and we were absolutely superb.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the top of the programme, people who hadn't seen it will look at it and go, "Oh, 1-0, that must have been a tight game." But it was a demolition, really. Manchester United caused us no problems whatsoever. They didn't pass the ball. They had no outlet. Martial was, I mean, how he keeps getting the game is beyond me, and Rashford was shocking. And basically, Daryl, they did everything that we did. They didn't do everything we did. You know, we ran around, we chased, we closed people down. If there was balls there to be ran after, we ran after them. If there was tackles there to be made, we made tackles. Closed people down, put pressure on people. Manchester United didn't do any of that, you know. And it was, as well as we played, it was really, really comfortable, you know, because we weren't under any pressure, because they put us under no pressure whatsoever. They didn't ask any questions of us at all. And look, if it had been 3, had it been 4, Manchester United could have had no complaints about it whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you mentioned there, you know, the attitude amongst the playing squad at Man United is just totally different, and it's the complete opposite to what we've got ourselves. You know, everybody's prepared to put in the graft, and everybody's prepared to put their bodies on the line, and you just don't get that with Man United, and they're not doing it.
Well, I think it's laid out, you know. Look, if you get an opportunity, you've got to show that you're entitled to that opportunity. You know, you've got to go and show that you want to stay in the side. If you don't, it won't be put up with. You know, I think, and basically it's not rocket science. You know, it's there for all to see. You know, there's a good structure, a good set of players, but if you do the basics right, and this is what this side has been doing all season, you know, there's a little bit of sprinkling of stardust in there as well at times with Isak and Gordon. You know, Gordon's been phenomenal since the start of the season. But just run around, do the basics right. When you lose the ball, go and get it back or try to get it back. Don't let anybody play away very easily. We don't do that. We put sides under pressure all over the pitch, and you know, that's all that the manager asks, and it's paid dividends. And as I say, they've got a structure. Everybody knows their game plan. Everybody helps each other out. And I know that we're down to the bare bones, but you know, the starting 11 that we've got in the last 3 games, there's an awful lot of quality still in there.
We will leave it there, Daryl, but thank you very much indeed for coming on.
Cheers,
good to talk to you. Thanks. And you'll probably get an opportunity, I'm sure, in the future to talk about the FA Cup derby. But I want to move on. We want to move on for now. John says, "Hi lads. Firstly, wanted to ask if Razor's okay. Sounds like he was losing his voice during the second half. He was a bit. He was
starting to get a bit croaky, all right.
Well done for plodding on. He had no choice, really, John. I suppose you could have done it, Ando, couldn't you?
But he, true pro.
He was.
Yeah.
Also, just wanted to ask about the goalkeeper situation. Now, it looks like Pope could be out for 4 months. Lots of talk about De Gea and Ramsdale on social media. But surely with Dubravka, Karius and Gillespie, we have enough cover. What are your thoughts, please? Says John. A few people have asked about, De Gea and Aaron Ramsdale has also been mentioned. I can't imagine Arsenal letting him go. Can you?
No, not at this moment in time. I mean, and as I said earlier, it's all down to Martin Dubravka. He's now got the short. He's got to put the performances in. If he puts the performances in, you would imagine there's no need to go and get another goalkeeper. Look, we're okay in that department. You know, we've got cover just as well. But look, Dubravka, it's not as if he's a young kid. You know, he's got bags of experience. He's been there before. He's got the T-shirt. He knows what it's all about. He won't be fazed by it. So yeah, good luck to him.
Dave from Cramlington says, Pride, did you notice how come every London team was drawn at home in the FA Cup? It's conspiracy. Another conspiracy. Yeah, no, that'll be.
See, Manchester United were drawn away.
They're not a London team, Andy.
I know, but that's the first time in many.
Oh right, okay, yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah. They had a long run of home draws.
That's a conspiracy, isn't it?
That was a conspiracy at the time while that run was ongoing. Chris is a Sunderland fan, wants to know your views, Ando.
Yeah.
Interested to know what would be the biggest game for Newcastle then in those 3 fixtures: Liverpool, Sunderland, or Man City?
Whoa. I think they're all huge. I think the way that the Premier League is going at this moment in time, I mean, obviously Manchester City having a couple of blips, conceding goals for fun as well. I know they're scoring at the other end, but high scoring draws again. Last minute equaliser yesterday. It depends on where we are in the league after Christmas when we go into January. You know, if you're a couple of points behind whoever it is top of the table, you know, the Premier League is still there, but they're all big games. They're all massive games. And look, it will be Eddie Howe's first derby game as well. I don't think he will have ever experienced anything like it. It's very unique. There's no doubt about that. The rivalry is there. It hasn't been around for a long time, but it is a special atmosphere. And I think that's one game he won't want to lose either.
He's probably had Bournemouth against Poole Town in a pre-season friendly.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, you could put that on the same
category, couldn't you? Stephen in Witton Gilbert says Newcastle will beat Sunderland 2-1. The predictions are already coming in. But they will have to come from behind to do it, says Stephen. Okay. Mick is on the line now. He's a Newcastle supporter. Hello, Mick. How you doing?
Brady, all's well?
Hey, Mick. Yeah, good.
Mick, yes. All well with you?
Seasonal greetings and all that malarkey.
Yeah,
yes,
and to you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's a bit early for that, Mick, but I'll let that pass for now.
Oh, hey, do you know what, lads? I can't believe we've got them. Honestly, John, we've got the Mackhams. Do you know what? Honestly, that's me Christmas ticked. That's it.
Is that your Christmas present, is it?
Honestly, mate, that's it. That's it. Honestly, I swear to God. We haven't played them for about, 8 or 9 years.
Mm.
And, I would have liked it at St James's Park, but do you know what? Oh, I can't believe it, John.
No, look at...
I'm out on the moon.
I think it's great, I do. I think
it's amazing, mate.
Yeah, I think it's great for the area as well. As it just said, the Pridey there, it's a special atmosphere. It's a...
So, John,
why are you so excited?
Sorry, what?
Why specifically are you so excited? Because you think...
Well, because I was born in No Shields. I'm 52, and if you never know why I'm excited...
Just because of the game, or because you think you're going to win?
Oh, well, just the man.
That's what I'm asking you. I mean, I understand everyone's pleased that the fixture's on, but...
When you send a team to Paris, and you have a bench like that, and you put in performance like that, I'll tell you what it is. Do you know what? Even if we get beat and I watch performance like that, I'm so proud. But absolutely crushing. I don't know what Eddie's doing, what the players, or how they get the morale. I've never seen it. Honestly, lads, I've seen the Keegan years and all the rest of it. I've never seen anything like this.
Well, hopefully by the time that derby game comes around, he'll have a few back.
John.
Yeah, that is, that's what everybody's keeping their fingers crossed.
I think we'll beat Milan. Do you think Dortmund will do a turn?
On the evidence of what you've seen against PSG, you'd be surprised if Dortmund didn't beat them, and Dortmund have to Dortmund have to beat them to top the group as well. And they'll want to do that. They'll want to top the group. So fingers crossed.
Listen, Mick, we're going to move on, but thank you very much indeed.
Sorry, thanks, lads.
That's okay.
Cheers, Mick,
don't worry at all. Thanks very much indeed for coming on this evening. But he's pleased with the draw, isn't he?
I think a lot of people people would be absolutely.
Do you want some more messages about the cup draw?
Go on.
That's what a lot of people have messaged about. Certainly. This one says it's unlikely surely that Eddie Howe will play a full strength team as the league and European football takes priority over the FA Cup third round, but with it being a derby, does Eddie throw caution to the wind and play full strength, knowing how much it means to the fans? That will be, I guess, if he does have the players available, that will be a bit of a dilemma for him. This message says Sunderland fans getting excited about Clark taking on Trippier. Trippier will probably be rested, as will a few other players if injuries allow. Dean says, did that caller just compare Jack Clark to Jack Grealish? No way. Who next? Foden and that onion lad? Asks Dean. Gareth says Jack Clark is a good player at the level he is at now. He has failed at higher levels. Trippier is an England international and a world-class player who has dealt with a lot better than Clark most times he plays, and those are the facts behind all of the hype. Mackhams, see you in the new year, says Gareth. They're ramping it up, aren't they?
I don't think he will rest Trippier for that. I think that's a game that he will want to play in as well. I'd be surprised if he doesn't play. An awful lot depends on who he's got. As I said earlier, hopefully he'll have 3 or 4, maybe more back by the time that cup tie comes along. But he'll mix and match. He'll pick a side that he thinks is capable of going and winning the game.
Okay. Gary's in Jarrow. Do you think Eddie Howe will play his strongest first team against Sunderland? Considering the two matches that are on either side of the cup game, Liverpool and Manchester City that we've already discussed, would Howe want to risk losing key players against Sunderland if he risks losing those players through injury for the next game? So Gary making that same point. Billy, the mag, who says he's sailing off the coast of Guatemala. He's not. I don't know where he is, but he's not there. He says, will the Mackems be allowed to forfeit the match 5-0 in order to keep the score respectable, Marco?
Honestly, it's almost childish, isn't it? That's what I was the last call. Does he believe in just a one-off match that it's just a given? I mean, look, I agree. Newcastle are a good team, but if it's a one-off cup tie, does he not watch the FA Cup?
It's like I mean, if you look at teams either side of both teams in the table, it's like Preston playing against Manchester United. It's like Watford playing against Spurs. Again, you know who the favourites are in both of those games.
Yeah,
but there's still a positive.
They've got more than a chance.
It happens.
See, I think it's more than that because of the.
No, John, I agree. Look, we all know we know the disparity. But the childish way of coming on and just saying, if we score 5, do you give it? It's a little bit pathetic.
We know anything can happen in one-off games.
Do you think the derby makes it more likely that a shot can happen, or less likely?
Probably equally, I would think. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, will Tony Mowbray play his strongest side? If Sunderland all of a sudden put a run together between now and New Year and are in, I don't know, third or fourth or whatever.
Well, they're still only 3 points off the playoffs.
So if they get in there, what does he then prioritise?
Because Sunderland have made changes to their teams in the cups.
Changes. I think he's
Newcastle played their full team and Sunderland didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I think the managers probably do realise the responsibility of this game, of that fixture, so that will be difficult.
I think the managers would have looked at it and gone, anybody else but that draw.
Very possibly.
Yeah.
Very possibly.